15 Minutes with Federal Training Academy, where busy professionals gain valuable insights in 15 minutes or less.
Afternoon out there. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. I am Dr. Nikita Harris, and I am today's host of 15 Minutes with Federal Training Academy. I am excited about today's theme. It's mentoring leadership, and I'm even more excited about today's guest. Our guest today is Jamiel Peterson, who is an attorney and military officer, and I would like to welcome Jamiel to 15 Minutes with FTA.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. Delighted.
Good. It's great to see you. Let me give you a little background. When I've been watching the previous episodes of 15 Minutes with FTA, and they have been absolutely phenomenal. So for those out there, please go back and watch the other shows on generational coaching. There's so many great topics. And so I went to Angela Kachuba, who is the director of Federal Training Academy. And I said, Angela, you know, mentoring is something dear and close to my heart. The research states out there that people who are mentored are 5 times more likely to be promoted. So there's, a great connection and relationship between mentoring and career mobility. Why don't you do a show on mentoring? And she said, you know what, Nikita, that's a phenomenal idea. Why don't you host a show? And so I say you have to be careful what you suggest, because sometimes you might end up doing it. But I took on the invitation, and I'm thankful that she asked me, because mentoring has always been very dear to my heart. When I started out as a young professional in the government working at NASA Goddard Space Flight Center, one of the very first things I was tasked with was designing a mentoring program for their system engineer division. And so over the years, I've done a lot of research, and I've been able to develop other mentoring programs. And so I would like for you to tell us, and you can kind of give us a summary of your career too. How has mentoring impacted your career and your development?
Yes, absolutely. So I'm going on 9 years of practice, and I started as a civilian in Montgomery, Alabama, and then I joined the United States Air Force as a JAG. And I practiced 4 years on active duty, and then I separated and joined the Missouri Air National Guard. And so I still continue practicing today as an attorney and as a military officer. And so the military is near and dear to my heart. And, when I think back on mentorship and, what it means to me, one thing that comes to mind is it certainly helped me with my confidence. Just the thought that you could speak with someone and learn from their experiences, their expertise, some of their pitfalls and challenges in life, and take those and use that experience to maneuver to whatever goal that you're trying to achieve. And so I think that's a very, powerful aspect of it. The other piece of it is it certainly helped me with my confidence to approach people and to network. When I think about just the beginning of my law career, I remember coming to you with needing help for my essays on my law school application. And we had never met, but yet, we met, we clicked, and you provided me some great counseling, and, I'm here today.
All right. Yes. I remember very clearly, that was I think it was the Friday after Thanksgiving. We were on a holiday, and we both, you said, it's time for me to get my law school. Will you help me? And I said, yeah, I have a busy schedule, but can you meet the Friday after Thanksgiving? And you said, absolutely. Where's your office? I'll be there. So I knew right then and there that you were going to be a good candidate to mentor if you were going to meet with me during your holiday. But one of the things that you said, oftentimes people think that mentoring is, I show up and then they'll tell me all the secrets and all the formula to being successful. But oftentimes mentors have a lot to share, not only from their successes, but also their failures. We can learn from others' failures as well. And so I thought that was very key that you pointed out. That was a very key, valuable point there. Also, the research states that mentors if mentees are 5 times more likely to be promoted if they're mentored, but it also states that mentors are 6 times more likely to be promoted. So there's a greater benefit to mentors than it is to mentees. Absolutely. So, when you talk about skills and competencies of mentors and mentees, that's very important. I would like to ask you, what are your thoughts about what makes a good mentor, also what makes a good mentee, and what really makes that relationship work and that's beneficial to both the mentor and the mentee?
The first thing that comes to mind is communication. As a mentee approaching, someone for mentorship, knowing what it is that you're trying to do, what your vision is, and clearly articulating that to that individual. And sometimes you may get the question as to, why do you think I may be a good mentor for you? And also, so knowing too, why this particular person is going to be a good fit for the type of mentorship that you're seeking. And I do believe that being transparent is very important. Sometimes you may have to share some details you may not be comfortable with, but also, keeping in mind that, you've approached this individual, you believe that this individual could, in fact, help and guide you accordingly. The last thing that comes to mind is being open to criticism. You're not going to always have it right. You're not going to always have the perfect idea, and you're going to have an open mind, but also you're going to have to be able to take some very constructive feedback, and that doesn't always feel good.
Yeah, and feedback is, especially if it's constructive and it's critical on both parts. Sometimes it's not, you don't feel very good giving it or receiving it, but it is a part of the relationship.
Absolutely.
Okay, so over the course of coaching leaders and also working with students, or just even some of my personal friends, they will say, I want to be mentored. I've never had a mentor, but how do I go about finding one or identifying one? And so I've noticed that people's not really understanding how to seek a mentor or how to even approach a mentor is sometimes an obstacle to actually developing those types of relationships. Do you have any advice or recommendation if there's someone out there that says, I really would like to be mentored, or they know someone that they said it would be really fantastic to be mentored by that particular professional, is they're doing the work that I want to do? How would you or you suggest that they approach someone that they're interested in mentoring them?
Yeah, I would tell someone, don't be afraid to put yourself out there, for one. Mm-hmm. You certainly are going to have to take the risk of approaching them if you really want their guidance. The other thing is, too, is whenever you do approach them, know exactly what it is that you're trying to do. Be able to share your vision, and also be able to explain to them why you believe that they are the right person for you to receive mentorship from. What is it about their expertise? What is it about their publications or experience? What is it about their discipline that you believe, hey, this is the right person for me to be engaged with? Another thing that comes to mind for me is, being mindful of their time. They're likely going to be some type of busy professional, and they have a lot going on, whether it's their professional or personal life. And, whenever you're going to approach them and ask for their help or ask for their guidance, you need to be mindful that, you may not be the number one priority, and you may have to follow up a few times, but understand that they do have a life and they have to, balance their own priorities as well. And then the last thing that comes to mind for me is doing an assessment within yourself as to whether you are the type of individual, am I going to be willing to pay this forward for someone else? And I do believe that a lot of mentors can identify that with any mentee that they're interacting with. And so, you want to make sure that, if you're seeking this type of this assistance, or you're seeking someone to invest in you, am I going to be willing to pay this forward some years down the line to another individual who may be trying to get to where I'm going, or may be trying to glean from my experiences?
Oh, I think that is a great point that you make, because even thinking about my motivation, my passion, my interest for mentoring is that I can think back to people who have helped me along the way, who've assisted me. And I feel responsible in providing that same advice, support, coaching to the next professional. And I would hope that they would pass it on. Okay, so we can be better employees, better professionals, and that we can create better workspaces for individuals in the future, and also a better trajectory within their career.
Certainly, yes.
And there's another thing that you shared in terms of time. And time is important. I know that sometimes people will come to me and say, and let me go back to this. People are usually willing and excited to mentor others. Sometimes, they may seem very busy, but to give back is people really enjoy that. So sometimes you may think, no, that person's not going to want to mentor me. But if you put yourself out there and you ask, and even if they're busy, they may know someone else who may be a better fit for mentoring you. I've also, some people come to me and I'll say, well, share me, what are some of your goals and what are some of the things that you want to do? And they'll say, hey, I'm interested in this. And then I said, you know what? I know someone who would be perfect, a better fit for you. Let me introduce you to them. Or I may still mentor them, but also pull somebody else into the circle of mentoring with us. And sometimes it becomes a group mentoring, not just a one-on-one type of situation. So all of those were very great points, but giving back, I do want someone who is willing to share. If I'm giving to them, that they're able to give back to someone else. So that's a very great point.
Yes, absolutely. And we talked on just a little bit on time, and I kind of think too, I think back to our relationship, you have to be open-minded that sometimes not only being mindful of their time, but sometimes time is going to be required from you, meaning that, you may be asked to go back and change something or do some more research. I remember bringing you my essays and you telling me like, hey, you may want to include this, you may want to research this more, and you may want to flesh this out. And, writing a completely different essay from scratch. And, had I been, stubborn to that or opposed to that, I may not have been accepted to the schools that I was accepted in. So it definitely requires mindfulness of time on both parts.
Yes. And I just want to thank you for over the years giving me like a front row seat to your career, to watch you develop and grow. It has been a pleasure. And I just can't wait to see the other things that you will do in your career.
Well, thank you for having me. And I thank you for your time, your investment in me. It's certainly made a difference in my professional career and my personal life. And so I'm just forever grateful for that. It's definitely God sent. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. It was a pleasure. And we are so excited that you could join us today. Thank you.
Certainly looking forward.